The nuke threats keep flying and the war grinds on. So let's take a look at what's going on. Guys, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's. You need to check my channel out. We're going to share some screens. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, bang the up notification bell, and click all, guys. They're still saying this stuff. It hasn't stopped yet. Putin and Belarusian president, that's Lukashenko, says no problem at all to nuke the U.S. You got to be kidding me. No problem at all. And no hesitation is what, with respect to defending his country with nukes, is what Lukashenko is saying, guys. So, you know, the Medvedev, Lukashenko, all these guys are over there crowing about the use of nukes. It's downright crazy. Now, is it just bluster or is it something else? But, you know, now, see, what happened is Vladimir Putin had said, well, he'll have the nukes in July, early July. But Lukashenko says, I got them. I've already received them. So, wow. And he said that that his country would not hesitate to use them if provoked. Now, what does he mean by provoked? So that's come out in different ways for him. We're going to run through these articles real fast. We're not going to make this long tonight. We got a lot to share, but we're going to get through it really quick. Again, no hesitation. I'm not even going to go into this article. You know, you get the gist of it without diving in deep. I kind of think that, really and truly, I kind of think this is a case that maybe Putin is using Lukashenko to do his dirty work. And Lukashenko is, you know, he's been basically threatened by interest in Poland. They actually would like to overthrow him, and they consider him in his previous election to have been somewhat questionable. You know, there was a lot of protest when he got elected last time, and there was a big crackdown that kind of kept him in office, allegedly. So anyway, let's go on here. I'm not taking any sides in this story, so we're just going to lay it out as we see it here on both sides. Look at that gator there taking a raft ride. Putin stressed. Administration staff starts. Yeah, it says that he's stressed. His staff is stressed. So even though they're talking about nukes, so this make you feel really good to know that each day, they start each day with a bottle of vodka. So not only they got their hands on the big red button, but they're sluiced with vodka. They're drunk. Oh, I hope that don't start playing. Good, there's no sound. All righty, guys, can you believe that? I've been to Moscow, and, you know, lunch, it typically is around the vodka if you do a formal lunch with those guys. But, you know, a shot or two. I think it's 2 shots back in the day. A bottle? A bottle? Is this for real? I don't know, guys. This may be more propaganda. But anyway, it says they're stressed, and the administration staff starts each day with a bottle of vodka. Yeah, like I said, you know, when I went to Russia, I actually practiced taking a shot of vodka so I wouldn't be embarrassed when I had lunch, formal lunch with the Russian space officials. And sure enough, had the lunch, and there was the vodka, and you had to take a shot, one or two of them real fast, you know. Whew, that's the only way to drink vodka. You got to get that stuff down. My gosh. I wouldn't want to do it now. It'd probably make my heart go into God knows what. I can't handle that stuff. But anyway, that's what they're claiming, folks. I don't know. But, you know, if that's true, that's a little worrying. Sometimes we think that the thing that kept us from, oh my God, there's a liquor commercial. Sometimes we think the thing that kept us from getting into it with Russia when Yeltsin was president, you know, Yeltsin, they thought that we were launching on them. And that was a case of a Black Brant rocket was launched out of Norway as a scientific test, and they notified the desk in Russia that they were making a scientific launch. But the guy in Russia said, yeah, okay. And he didn't report it back to the officials back in Moscow. And in Moscow, when they saw that single booster going up, they thought that that was their model, how we might attack them, was to send a single missile up out of the Barents Sea from a sub to EMP them. Then the rest of our ICBMs would be coming over the horizon. And you know, his military officials were urging him to launch. And Yeltsin says, no, I don't think Bill Clinton would do that to me. He's my buddy. Good thing he didn't have too many rounds of vodka. So I don't know, guys. This really makes you wonder where we're heading in the world. But anyway, guys, I highly encourage you, to talking about nuclear threats, to watch this video right here about the nuke plant in Zaporizhzhia. I just did this today with Lee Wilbarger. And we're talking about the water levels dropping real fast in this cooling pond down here. You'll see right there. That is the cooling pond that's allegedly supposed to last 2 months, but there's some challenges on keeping that last 2 months. And even what do you do after the 2-month period? You still got to cool those spent fuel rods, and there's tons of spent fuel rods there. This is a catastrophe in the ticking. Fortunately, Lee Wilbarger, in the course of this conversation, figured out a way to get water there. Hopefully, I don't know if 100% of the work is the problem of it being a war zone, but he did right after this teleconference that we had, meeting online, he decided to call some officials in Washington, and they called him back, and he's going to talk to some. He's got a lot of connections in Ukraine, so maybe they'll put together something to make it work. But guys, this is there's no guarantees. If that don't work, if they don't get this thing taken care of, you're going to see great shortages in food and all kinds of stuff, because Ukraine is the breadbasket world. We're talking about irradiating much of that breadbasket, messing up supply chains out and around the Black Sea, and who knows what, guys. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. So let's hope that don't come to pass. Got a lot of other good videos on here too. Another one I urge y'all to watch if you've not seen it. I'll click my regular videos here. Is come over here and yeah, that's the one I did yesterday. Come down here and watch this one on the EMP balloon attack. This is about the Chinese EMP military planes. And that's only out of almost 1,300 videos you're going to find me on wearing a suit on this channel. But I'm going to make a follow-up or two to that. I might put the suit back on. That's a very formal, serious topic. All right, guys. If this ain't got you thinking that you need to get ready, I don't know what you're thinking, but here's one good way to do it. I do tell you to eat free from the weeds and the trees, and I got videos telling you how to do that, and go to the big box stores. I've done a couple of videos on that. But I tell you what, when it comes to long-term food storage and stuff you can bug out real easily, go to prepwithgreg.com, because my Patriot Supply makes this lightweight stuff here. You get a 3-month supply out of these 6 buckets, and we get $200 off, my friends. It's over 2,000 calories a day, which is a lot. Some of the competitors are only offering 800 calories, which is a starvation diet. 2,000 calories per person per day. That's what you got here. And this is for one person, a 3-month supply. And so you need to really think about that, because you can store this stuff and bug out with it real easy. If you can't afford that, guys, you're going to spend that in a month. But if you can't afford that, you might consider a 2-week supply, which is one of these buckets. Just think about it, guys. And if you can't do any of that, consider coming up here and checking out some of the other prepping supplies available from My Patriot Supply. Water filters, they got air filters, air purification, survival items. Just check it out. Look around. If you see something that makes sense to you, you might want to get it. If not, well, whatever works for you, my friends. All right, guys, let's move on. A lot of stuff is going on. Yeah, and then Medvedev, now he's, since the Nord Stream pipeline got struck, he's talking about severing the undersea cables that link the United States and Europe. And they'd already noticed they had a lot of naval activity going on around where these cables were. NATO had already taken notice of that, so they've already mapped this stuff out. They know where they're at, and they know we know where they're at. So he's making this threat, and that would be a major hindrance to commerce, communications, and NATO, to say the least. So that is something that to be aware of. One thing strikes one place, you expect some kind of strike back, right? Well, it's been said since they lost that general a couple of days ago over there in one of the Russian generals, one of the top Russian generals, got lost in Ukraine. He is no longer walking around. He is planted in the ground, or soon to be. So what they're saying is that Russian military commanders remain vulnerable to accurate Ukrainian strikes. Now, something they taught us when I was in the Army is, if you get to fight with the Russians, you go for the commanders, their top leaderships, because the way their command structure is structured over there, they don't have the NCO academy, the NCO ranks like we do. They don't have troops that think for themselves. They follow orders and commands. And when the commanders aren't there, the troops don't quite know what to do. They're without direction. They don't have the self-initiative that's taught into Western forces, at least American forces. Of course, I don't know what ours will do now either, to be honest about it. Anyway, well, we've had a good army, but some things may be changing. I don't know. Putin just admitted, though, that Russia doesn't have enough weapons for the Ukrainian war. Now, he said we have weapons. He's just talking about having enough, what he considers enough. I guess it's the long term. Mainly what he's talking about is precision guided munitions, missiles, the drones, and things like that, tanks. They want more of that kind of stuff, aircraft. And he says, yeah, I've got them. I just don't have enough of them. That's what he was claiming. And he made this statement in one of his own meetings here. So anyway, he did claim that he lost 54 tanks, but he said that Ukraine's not made any gains. That's what he's saying. Well, they haven't put through the front lines. So they have, Ukrainians have captured one of the Russian advanced T-80 BVM tanks there in Donetsk. That's that big new fancy tank that Russia's come out with. It's supposed to be the be-all, end-all in the world of tanks. Now, I'm going to show you something. I tried to show you all this last night, and my Zoom crashed, and I didn't realize I wasn't showing the video. So I'll show you some tanks here in a minute that I was talking about last night. We'll zip through it, though. We're not going to spend much time on this. Yeah, like I said, the Ukrainian forces are advances, but appear to be miles from Russia's defensive line. And that kind of validates what Putin is saying. So they're saying here, a much tougher fight lies ahead. And that we pretty much understand. Much tougher fight. So guys, yeah, those defensive lines of Russia are going to be very, very hard to breach because they got the mines, the dragon's teeth, open range for artillery for the Ukrainian tanks come in. They got the trenches, which will swallow a Bradley, an M1 or a Leopard tank, and how they get through those trenches without engineers coming there and putting down bridges for them to get through, and engineers operating under heavy artillery and putting up a bridge, which would be target, trying to get a few tanks across that bridge as a target. I don't know how they're going to do it, guys. That's why I was saying last night, and trying to show you this tank here, the M551 Sheridan. This was a tank that I knew of back in the day when I was in the Army at Fort Bragg before I went to Fort Greeley, Alaska, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. We had a whole bunch of those tanks, and they were intended to be parachuted down. This is a lot lighter than the M1 or the M60. Back then, the M1 was not in service yet. It was being tested when I was at Fort Greeley. When I was at Fort Greeley, Alaska, they had tested the M1 tank. I think it might have come into service just before I left the Army in '83. But this tank was very much stationed at Fort Bragg, and it was intended for airborne operations. The idea is you could parachute this tank behind enemy lines, and if you did that, then you'd have, if they had something like this, they could come in behind the Russians, but they don't have something like this, and they don't have the air cover to stage an operation like that anyway. So I want to show you something else that pertains to that in a minute. So yeah, if they wanted upper hand, they'd have to have paratroopers and armor that they could parachute in. That would give them an edge that they don't have to hit the other guys on the backside of their defenses. So I'm not taking sides here. I'm just talking about what each side has, what each side's claiming. And we know that most of the stuff can come from either side is propaganda, but that would have been a game changer. The United States discontinued these sometime in the 1990s. And supposedly they're working on a replacement for that now. They're probably seeing the utility of that kind of tank and the kind of warfare they're facing in Europe at the moment. So, okay, this don't want to advance. What's going on? I'm having issues with this. Oh, Lord. Am I still online? I hope I am. Yeah, I'm still live. Yeah, I've been dropping out a lot on here. Okay. This don't want to do what I want it to do. Well, okay. Is my memory over the top? Yeah, it suddenly shot up. Big spike in memory here. Hang on, guys. I have to close something. I'll just close this. Okay, we're kind of in a catch here. Well, I was wanting to show you the Bradley and some of these other. Let me close a few of these articles, see if it'll help give me a little memory freed up here. All right. Well, it closed what I didn't want to close. I was trying to click on. Okay. Well, y'all know what a Bradley fighting vehicle looks like in M113. Here's the other thing I was wanting to tell you guys. These Ukraine has paratroopers, and it says the paratroopers are on the way. Ukrainian paratroopers joined the Marines thundering south along the Mokry Valley River, wherever you pronounce that. Yeah, well, what's paratroopers for? They're for dropping behind the enemy lines. That's what paratroopers are supposed to be for. Is that what they're doing? No. No. Why? Because they don't have the air power in Ukraine. They got paratroopers, but they don't have the cover to get them in there. Now, maybe they would. There's a light tank, but apparently, I don't know. I'm not seeing anything about it being parachute drop. That's something they could parachute drop, but yeah, they don't have the air power to move in over and drop behind enemy lines. You got to have some escort aircraft. Maybe this fall when they get the F-16s, if they're still in play at that time, who knows, guys, what's going to happen in this war? Who knows? The NATO's Air Defender 23 might just give them a surprise assist. Of course, that would be a full-blown World War III if they do that. Guys, let's get out of the war topic here. We'll talk economics a little bit. BRICS nations, look, Egypt was considered to be one of our allies. Of course, in the administration of Obama, he supported the color revolution in Egypt to overthrow the military there, and in that case, they lost. The one country, the only color revolution country that where there was a revolution brewing was Iran, that they didn't support. They did not support the color revolution in Iran, but they lost a case in Egypt. So maybe that made Egypt a little bit of a testy ally. But Egypt decided to go with the BRICS, to side with Russia and China. We're losing all kind of countries to the BRICS. Our State Department has been a disaster under Blinken. So, and the administration in power, it seems. So, guys, allegedly, I sell these qualifiers because I got to be careful, because I'm being on this platform talking topics like I talk is like walking on thin ice, wearing cleats in an earthquake with artillery rounds landing in on the lake of ice. It's very, very, very precarious. And I'm told that you can be deplatformed just for showing a Russian news site like RT, which I've done very many times. But so I've got to be much more careful on what I'm doing. I'm also here reaching back 4 years back and finding reasons to deplatform channels. So I got to be a lot more careful on what I say and post. But guys, yeah, this is not a freedom of speech platform. I told you that before. And a lot of people get mad at me when I don't say certain things or try to qualify what I say. But if you want to hear me again, you got to bear with me. So yeah. Anyway, BRICS gaining ground. Now here's a video that where the Ukrainians have taken a village. In this case, it's Neskunchi, or however you say it. I think I can get away with playing just a little short clip, because this is actually a video from the Ukrainian military, or it's a government video, so there should be no copyright on it. But just I will be careful and talk through it and only play. Here they are raising the flag over a bombed out building. That's their sign of conquest, I guess. That village is totally bombed out from the what I'm seeing in that video. So it's rough over there, guys. It's rough. All right, now let's change over here to another topic. Uh-oh, I hate commercials. What's going on here? So what we're seeing here is China is blaming U.S. nuclear tests in the Marshall Islands decades ago for higher levels of radiation in the South China Sea. Now, there's a couple of things to this, and maybe there's something to that, but you got to bear in mind the other people testing in the Pacific Ocean were both the British and the French. And I don't know where China, maybe China's tests were all inland. But guys, here's another thing to this, though. South China Sea should not belong to China, because it's right in the nations and territorial waters that, according to the UN Treaty, Law of the Sea, we like to call it as a short, LOST, as some people abbreviate that, and I think LOST is a good name for that treaty. These other nations have claims to that area, but China just went in and grabbed it all and claimed it for themselves. So this is a highly contested matter. To say that China has claims of that and then can claim against somebody else is a bit of a stretch. But, this is all water under the bridge. At the time, we didn't fully anticipate and understand, the long range implications of the stuff we were playing with out there. And we don't do that anymore. But then again, maybe the United States did contribute that, but who is China to lay the claims against us? Maybe the other countries could and should, if anybody does, the ones that ought to own that territory. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of contestants testing about that, and I seriously think, seriously, I don't know. I wouldn't think the United States would be trying to pay China for something over property that should belong, or properties that should belong to other countries. Anyway, we'll see how that plays out. I don't know, guys. You tell me what you think is going to happen there. I don't know. In any event, I was talking about the Russians drinking. Now, it's Americans too. We've entered this game too. And it's kind of interesting. Americans are drinking alcohol levels not seen since the Civil War. Now, does that mean something? I mean, drinking's got more popularized lately. There's been a lot of commercials on it, and it's got bigger in pop culture. But is this a sign of depression? Is it a sign of worries? Just like in this war between the states that we had so long ago, I made a lot of videos claiming maybe we are in a similar state today. Has that got anything to do with this? Is it? I don't know, guys. You tell me. This subtitle here says women may be to blame for increasing the levels of alcohol consumption in the U.S. Is that because women are drinking more, or women are driving men are drinking? Just kidding. I don't know. But that's the subtitle down here. You see it. Women may be to blame. Of course, I guess women wouldn't want to hear that, but again, it's probably that the women are drinking more too, and more of a party thing, right? More people are staying single, having less kids. Maybe that's got more to do with it. I don't know, guys. You tell me. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. All righty. Now, here's the one thing that I think is interesting. They're trying to foist the CBDC down our throats. It turns out an overwhelming majority of Americans, both left and right, are opposed to this. More so on the right, but the majority of people on the left don't want anything to do with this. They don't want the government controlling their money to this degree. Now, we've talked about this to a large degree, but let's see if I gotta be careful scrolling in here. 74% of the respondents said they would oppose the issue. All right, I just lost my connection. I got to reboot up here. Hang on. Show you this again. Once again, hopefully I won't lose it before I get done here. 74% of respondents said they would oppose issuance of a CBDC if it gave the government control over how the people spent their money. About 68% said they would be against adoption of the CBDC if it meant the government could keep an eye on their spending. Well, that's really the meaning of it, according to the way I understand it. And, people don't want, people are against it all the way around. All right, I'm dropping. Zoom is dropping me. I'm losing my connection continuously here. All right, guys, let me share it one more time. This is getting to be a problem. It's getting where I can't use my tools here. I've been dropping out continuously for the last several days. Hopefully I can get through this before I get done. All right, guys, that's it. Overwhelming majority of Americans oppose CBDCs, because I don't know how much of that y'all got. Sorry if I'm repeating. All right, guys, our banking system has gotten another big hurdle, another big peril coming at it. And this is when the commercial real estate is due. There's about almost almost $1.5 trillion in loans coming due over this next year. And this is the amount they think that's not going to get paid. And this is said it's going to hit the banks, especially the regional banks. Oh, yeah, the national banks the big ones will be just fine. That's what scares a lot of people. So what does this mean for us? That maybe it's a road to the CBDCs. Let's hope not. Yeah. All right, I got about 4 more articles and we're going to be done. But talking about spying on America with the money. No, they wouldn't spy on us with our money, would they? Well, look at this. Biden administration begs to keep spying on American cities despite concerns over the abuses. This has got to do with the Section 702, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which the FBI has been using. It's supposed to be for foreign intelligence, but they've been using it to look at you and me and others. And in fact, there's another article here where some FBI agents said they accidentally or unintentionally, let me rephrase that, unintentionally, now this is testimony to Congress, I'm not making this stuff up, unintentionally spied on 278,000 Americans. How do you unintentionally spy on somebody? I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? Maybe it was an accident, right? Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. And when it comes to the border, ex-Border Patrol says migrants in the U.S. was only agenda of DHS when this Mayorkas took office. Well, what they're talking about here is that it's the threat of foreign nationals that are maybe agents of the military. They're worried about Chinese military people sneaking in, or agents of, that would be sleeper cells. That's really what they're talking to here. Of course, nobody let fentanyl come across the border now, would they? Yikes, guys. So, I should save this discussion for another channel here. We've talked about it a little bit. This goes in a lot of detail here. But hey, basically what it does say is the boycotts are having a huge effect on industry, but a lot of these companies are doubling down and staying with it because they're getting their loans from the banks and everything. They got to have those bank loans. The bank loans are tied to how much they follow this. Well, over the long term, they still got to have customers. So they might be concerned about that in the near term, but at some point, they're going to have to wake up. All right, enough said of all this stuff. I'm going to stop the share. We've already been dropped twice, so I think it's time to go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for watching. Stay tuned. Keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. That's what I tell you. It's the proposition of my channel is to help you survive, thrive, and stay on the high, but to warn you and to keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. I'll bring more of this to you to help you do that as we go down the road on this. So stay tuned and prep and pray that we're here to survive and thrive another day. With that, I'm going to say thank y'all for watching. Y'all take care, and Greg out.